Hey everyone! Welcome to The Young and the Restless. I'm Jane, and I'm so excited to have you here. If you love Young and the Restless, then you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Alright, let's dive right in. This story begins with the feeling of tension in the air, a palpable uncertainty that keeps crawling beneath my skin. It's not like any feeling I've had before, but it reminds me of something much older, something I thought I buried long ago. I never expected my life to take this kind of turn, especially not with someone like Ashby. We've crossed paths more times than I care to count, but never did I think I'd end up tangled in this dangerous game that now seems impossible to escape. You see, Kane's always been the kind of person who has a plan for everything. He's calculated, manipulative, and doesn't care who gets hurt along the way as long as he gets what he wants. And what he wants right now is two things: Chancellor Industries, which he believes he should have control over, and my heart, again. It all started when he revealed his true identity to his guests during our trip to Nice. That's when everything shifted. Kane wasn't just some guy I used to know anymore. He was a man who had spent all this time plotting, making moves behind closed doors, and I didn't even see it coming. We're not talking about a simple, I want my company back type of motivation. No, his eyes were set on something more personal, something much darker. Kane had this unsettling confidence when he said that he believed someone would try to kill him before the trip was over. He had every reason to believe that, too, because once we got to Nice, things started to get strange. And I, for one, was not sure how to respond. I'd heard whispers of his past, the lies he'd spun to get ahead, but for him to so casually mention a threat to his life, it sent a shiver down my spine. Amanda was the first to warn me. She knew Kane better than anyone else, and when she spoke about him, it was never with affection. "He's dangerous, Lily. Don't get involved," she'd said, looking me in the eye with a sense of urgency that made my blood run cold. I should have listened to her. I really should have. But there's something about Kane's presence that makes you believe that maybe, just maybe, he could change, that he could be someone different. But that's the lie. He's never been someone different. I couldn't understand why, but it started to become clear that Kane wasn't just being paranoid. He wasn't simply warning us, he was setting the stage. A game was unfolding right before my eyes, and I was too deep in it to realize what was happening until it was almost too late. Kane had been manipulative in his ways, no surprise there, but what he was about to do took it to another level entirely. When he called Chance, the detective, to come to his chateau, I thought it was just another way to ensure things went his way. But when Kane said he suspected someone would kill him, I didn't realize then that it was all part of his twisted plan. He didn't want to expose the threat to the French authorities. He wanted to frame someone close to him. I couldn't fathom who he might be aiming for, but the more I watched his interactions, the more certain I became Kane was playing a dangerous game, and someone was about to pay the price for it. Damian. It was always Damian. Damian had been fired by Kane, and like me, he didn't take kindly to Kane's manipulations. But there was more to it. Damian wasn't just out for revenge, and he wasn't the only one vying for my affection. He was playing a dangerous game too, trying to cozy up to me under Kane's very nose. But that only gave Kane the motive he needed. What Kane hadn't counted on was how Damian was already a threat to him, not just professionally, but personally. Damian had been planning to spy on Kane for the Winters family, something I learned only after the first confrontation in the train car. Kane had always been one step ahead, and he'd picked up on this plan way earlier than anyone expected. I could feel the tension in the air between them when they came face to face again. There was so much hostility, so much animosity, and I could tell that this was going to escalate. Kane had issued a warning, and Damian, being the stubborn man he was, didn't take it seriously. The tension grew thicker, and I could sense that something was about to break. And then came the knife collection. It all seemed so deliberate. Cain, ever the strategist, had carefully placed the knives in the train car where Damian would stay. He knew that Damian, in his defiance, would pick one up. And just like that, Cain set his trap. I don't know what it was about the knife. Maybe it was the way it gleamed in the dim light of the train car, or maybe it was the subtle way Cain had arranged everything. But it wasn't hard to imagine how easily Damian could have been set up, and once he was framed, there'd be no turning back. Cain's plan had been executed so flawlessly that I couldn't even see how it would fail. Damian was trapped. And I was in the middle of it all. Everything happened so fast. The confrontation between Damian and Cain escalated into something violent. Cain was stabbed, yes, you heard that right. The man who had been pulling the strings all this time was now lying in a pool of his own blood, but Cain knew exactly what he was doing. He wasn't in danger. He was acting. It all felt like a nightmare, one where I couldn't wake up. Cain had played his cards, and now it was Damian who would pay the price. Chance, the detective, would see the knife with Damian's fingerprints on it, and there would be no question. It was as if Cain had orchestrated this entire sequence of events to bring Damian down. And he did it all for one reason, to get me back. I hated myself for even considering it, but I couldn't deny the truth. I was still tangled up in this web that Cain had spun so expertly. He knew how to manipulate, how to control, and now he was manipulating me into believing that somehow this was all about love, about getting back what he'd lost. But it wasn't love. It never had been. It was about control. It was about winning. And I was the prize. But there was something even more disturbing than that, the way this would destroy everyone around me. Cain wasn't just targeting Damian. His actions had consequences far beyond his own petty vendettas. If his plan succeeded, it would ruin not only Damian's life but also the life of the newly formed family that had come into existence because of Nate and Amy. The idea that I was somehow part of this destruction, it weighed on me more than anything else. I thought I was helping, but I wasn't. I was an accessory to a crime that would break apart more lives than I could even count. As the days passed, and I found myself facing the repercussions of everything that had happened, I knew deep down that I couldn't keep living in this web of lies and deceit. There was no room for forgiveness in this kind of world. And so, with a heavy heart, I made my choice. I had to leave. I couldn't stay in a place that was slowly destroying everyone I cared about. If you enjoyed my story, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more real-life stories like this.